Day 4 of the Wrangler NFR. Tommy Joe, Kendra, No Spin Rodeo Rally time.
Hello, everybody. It's episode 39. We're at a rally right here in Las Vegas. It's the No Spin Rodeo Rally. We are on stage at the Cowboy Commons right here. It's a beautiful day outside, and I have a feeling I am really excited about today's show. Of course, we got Greg Teagarden. He's the guy that's going to show you all the cool stuff and comment, and my amazing, smarter other lady, Kendra Santos, the First Lady of Pro Journalism, and I'll let her introduce him. One of the few in this game that are starred in my favorite list. Go ahead.
And I'm talking on the human side. Like, I didn't see you this morning that I heard the John Growney laugh, and I'm like, thank God he's here. Because every room is blessed for you have this joy aura, and we all love it. Okay, so current day.
I mean, I have a joy aura too, right?
Right.
Okay.
Legacy
Thank
Pro
you.
Rodeo, but Growney, there are so many things to say about John Growney. I don't remember not knowing you. I remember that you had the best breakaway calves when I was in college rodeo with Growney Brothers Rodeo. I really appreciated that. The thing, how far we go back, like John Growney wears the 1976 Cow Palace bull riding buckle back when it used to be the playoffs to the NFR, and every big dog in the game was there, by the way, and I was a little kid and I was there, and my dad.
So you were a little kid and he was riding?
She's a lot
You're
younger than I am.
Well,
you're 163
I'm
years old?
almost her dad's age.
Oh, okay.
The thing is so much, and my dad won his second all-around title there that year at the Cow Palace. And so, anyway, as we go into Memorial Night tonight, the first year without my dad, it's personal to me. But anyway, Lane Frost, since this is Memorial Night, like we're gonna cry probably, but okay, so
Hey, check it out.
So
Kendra.
Is this the greatest? And Sue Rosoff, the master of the Lane Frost photos, and Growney.
Yeah.
So-
See what Lane's doing with his hands?
Yes, I'm taking your mic. You're going to do it. The Lane hands.
Well, it wasn't. I've been doing this my whole life, and he was mocking me right there. So
Making fun.
Right.
But there are pictures of you guys with no shirts on, signing autographs, signing posters, all these things. But Lane, we always loved each other, and we always... my claim to fame is that I will always outweigh him, so he doesn't give me any shit because he knows I can take him if I want to.
But that's what binds us too, you and me.
But Lane did something with our little group, and there's this connection that's never going anywhere because that was a very traumatic.
It was.
I mean, we lived the best of times with the
I think so.
Challenge of Champions, and losing him There's a connection for life.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
I know we can dwell on that, but it still hurts
It will always hurt.
when you talk about it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and
Here we go. Was that my introduction?
No, I think that you guys just. Tell us about your career. Like I've seen your smiling face, and you've seen me since I was. Well, I'm still relatively oval, but I was much shorter and more oval. You saw me probably.
I've known you since I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
Uh-oh.
Your dad worked you two kids. I only remember two kids, but worked you guys like slaves. And I mean, and you guys jumped. When he said jump, you guys jumped.
We don't like to say slaves. We like to go with indentured servants.
And it was. Anyway, that's how long I've known you two.
Yeah. Well, you probably saw me on the Murray lawnmower pulling the sheep out, because that was the very first thing Dad could afford to pull the sheep out in a trailer was a Murray lawnmower. Well, let me tell you something. When you're trying to, have some girls notice you, and you're on a Murray lawnmower in skin-tight green pants with a white scarf.
Not exactly spitting game for the
No,
ladies.
you ain't getting anywhere. All right.
So here we are. I can't tell you my life story because it'd take forever. But the greatest part of my life story is my mom was raised in Sonoma, California. And my dad was raised in Red Bluff, California. And my mom's friend in Corpus Christi, Texas, calls my mom and goes, "We've got a man that we want you to meet." He was a pilot in the Navy, and he was training in Corpus Christi, Texas. And the instructor was a kid also from Red Bluff named Jack Hampton. And so they called my mom and said, "You got to come to Corpus Christi to meet this guy." So my mom does, during the war, gets on a train and rides all the way to Corpus Christi, Texas. If she doesn't do that, I'm not here. That's the beginning of my story.
But she had to do a few other things. But
a lot of
she did
things.
have to get on the train first.
Right.
Yeah.
John Growney had to be developed. I swear that God had a plan for me, and his plan was already developed before I was ever born.
It is for all of us. It is for all of us. Well, if you walk around South Point, just for all of our viewers that are we're teaching you this lifestyle. Us three, but I bet you guys are worse. You've got to plan your walk through the South Point and add another 30 minutes. Because even when you don't want to talk to everybody, you got to stop, right? I mean, you don't. Like, my deal is don't make eye contact. It doesn't mean that I don't want to talk to anybody. It's just that I need to pee and I want to get to the room. Do you have that issue?
All the time. Just last night, our vehicle got dropped off on the lower part of the South Point because it was so crowded in the valet parking.
No,
so
welcome,
we came
welcome
through
the
right
team
by
ropers.
where the theater is, and then the bar is right in front of me. I know that I have to, so I skirted all the way around the bar.
The same thing. You're right through the machines, right? You're like that.
And you know what? I love everybody, but there's times where you just need to get somewhere.
But
it's going to happen to me here when the trade show. I want to look at stuff. I want to go see stuff.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, and I love the people. So here they go.
How much of that do you think had to do with 8 seconds?
I hope it's my personality that it had a lot more to do with it.
Magnetic.
Because
It's your stunning good looks.
I've already talked to them a lot, and I remember their names, and I can,
Right.
there's
Yeah,
so many. I know where they're
relationships.
from,
Yeah.
and those things help. Right now, I met these two people from at St. Paul, Oregon. They're from Austria, and now we've become really good friends.
That's
Welcome.
awesome. You know what? And when I was running to get into the car with these guys this morning, a guy takes his hat off right in front of the South Point, and he says, "Kendra, I want to meet you. I'm from the Crooked River Roundup, and we love everything that you guys do, and we really appreciate it." I mean, we make friends every day.
Right,
and
every day.
We love
and
people.
lot more than one.
Yes.
Well, and I prefer talking to those people. The people that I'm less inclined to talk to, because you guys know this, you can see if you're kind of coming off your career and you're in the contract business, you still come here, but not as many people talk to you. And they're the ones that when you're walking through the slot machines, they're standing at the bar like this. Hey, Tommy Joe, come over here. Come over here. Talk to me.
Right.
Somebody please talk to me so it looks like I should be sitting at this bar. Get on over here. Right?
They're there.
They're there.
But that's what we do. Cowboys are all guilty of. We relive our life. And if you'll be somebody to listen to me, I'll relive my life.
Rebuck 'em.
And speaking of Buckingham, we have to mention Red Rock.
Right.
And Growney Brothers Rodeo, and Donnie Kish, and if nothing else, I mean, the Challenge of the Champions was like a mainstream media breakthrough. The
It
epic.
was the start of what they're finally starting to
Yes.
do.
Okay.
They did it
Yes,
first.
the epic matchup of the 1987
Absolutely.
World Champion Bull Rider, which 1987 is the first NFR I worked right out of Cal Poly, and I mean, you say God is orchestrating your life. There's a script for me too, because seriously, like I step out. I was wearing a dress and high heels for round 10. Why, I don't know, but I get to step out on the dirt the minute Lane wins the world and just visit with him. I'm like,
Right. What a privilege that was.
what
huh?
a privilege all of it has been.
Yeah.
So say a little something about that, because that really did that was broke through the rodeo base. That was people in New York City knew about that.
You know what? First of all, well, I went to Cal Poly there. The last 2 years of my career going to college.
Did you graduate?
No, but I did my senior project, and as soon as I did it, it was getting in the rodeo business. As soon as the day it was done, I was just tired of being there, but I finished this senior project. I got a good grade on it, and I went to Bank of America and got in the rodeo business. That was 1977.
That's awesome.
Okay, will you tell us how much you had to borrow?
About 70,000. We bought.
That's a lot of money.
First of all, Cotton sent me a load of horses, older horses, but I was going to put on amateur rodeos, and I did, and he sent me a load of horses. And then the next year, I ended up buying RSC out, and they became a PRCA stock.
Roddy Sperrick Cook.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, there's so many things that happen to you in life, but back to Red Rock, the marketing, I don't know if you ever had him, but there was a guy, and I can't remember his last name. He had an Irish name, but his first name was John. And he worked for 3M, and he was becoming an alcoholic because he was entertaining clients, and he was in New York, and he had a family of 6 kids, a good Irish Catholic boy. Anyway, he just quit 3M and went to work at Cal Poly as an instructor, and he taught marketing. And he is the one that really instilled marketing in my life. But there was another guy, just out of the blue, the good Lord sent him in there, and I needed to be with him, and it worked out. So I knew when Red Rock, when I met you, well, we already knew each other, but at Cow Palace, when we had Red Rock there and you had your picture and your brother was in the picture and
Yes.
stuff, so we knew before Lane was the world champion that Red Rock was Buck and Bull of the Year. And then I already knew Lane and all those kids, and I already talked to Lane about, hey, Lane, if you win the world, this is what we got. I'd have never done this if it wasn't for Lane Frost, because Jim Sharp or even Tough or any of those guys, they weren't the guy that this Lane Frost was
the guy
to sell himself. And because Kendra knew him, and I knew him, Sue Rosoff got to know him, and then George Michaels knew him.
George Michael was magic.
The
And
magic.
for people
He
who are
was
young
the
and don't
finishing
know,
touch.
I went to George's house in Maryland with Cody Lambert and Tuff Hedeman one time. We went to the White House that day. There was a limo that took us places, but we went to
Name
George's.
dropper.
We went to George Michael's house,
I was feeding a monkey that day.
and there's this mantle, and then there's another mantle. It's covered with all these statues, and I'm like, what the hell are those? They were Emmy Awards, right?
Yeah.
And George was just one of us.
Right. He wanted to be one of us.
Yeah.
He wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here, you and I both know, in our little world that we live in, it's a great little world we live in. And a lot of people that like it want to know us because they want to be part of that world that we live in. We live in a great world. And I think really good people, my friends out there, they want to be in there. They're coming to Pendleton next time. They want to know.
Woman just walked over here to wave at us with lugging
Oh, he's
200 pounds
Yeah.
of gift giving. There he is, the stud.
It's kind of like a Santa with a hat on there.
So anyway, the instructor at Cal Poly taught me marketing, and I think he gravitated to me, and I gravitated to him. I even went to his house for dinner one time to meet his 6 Catholic kids.
But that's fascinating in itself, because when I was at Cal Poly, I was literally the only person on the rodeo team that was not in the ag department. And for whatever reason, they appointed me to, there was this case in the ag department that belonged to the rodeo team, and they had me go put pictures and fun stuff in it. But I was in the journalism department, and then for my master's degree in the business department, but I was always hanging out in the lobby of the ag building.
Right. I don't remember.
But you being in the marketing class, that wasn't part of what you needed probably to graduate.
No, it wasn't at all.
Yeah. But the little twists and turns we
Right.
take.
Somebody
yeah.
said, John, you need to go take this marketing class.
Yeah.
Then once I took the first one, I took 2 more classes from him. This guy was awesome. He was great.
It's interesting. So like you, what's going on behind me? When Growney's laughing, that makes me worry. I graduated with a master's with a BA in communications and theater arts. Now I'm producing events, right? So isn't it funny how branding and marketing is critical to me?
Right. If we didn't go outside our little world that we were raised in, we'd have never been doing this, because we needed what you ended up with and what I ended up with.
Exactly.
We needed it.
And her.
Right.
I mean, what comes out of the tip of her pen.
Right.
But the series of I used to think they were random, coincidence, whatever. None of it's coincidence. Because you mentioned RSC Rodeo, Roddy, Sparrick, and Cook. Nobody else remembers that but us older timers. And I will never forget being at the rodeo in Lake Comanche, California with my dad. And this announcer, like, I'm used to the side tailings. Like, my brothers and I threw popcorn at his back at the Cow Palace because we thought he was a wax statue because he never moved and he was monotone. So then I go to this rodeo in Lake Comanche, and it's this wild, there's this guy with a bad perm, a mustache, buckaroo boots from Winnemucca, Nevada,
Skinny.
and he's going completely bonkers. And we get back in the car to go home. They drove big, huge cars. My dad had all his vet supplies in the trunk and the 2-horse trailer back there. Anyway, and I said, "What was that?" And it was Bob freaking Tallman. It was the first time I ever met him. And by the way, fast forward, I graduate with my master's degree from Cal Poly. And I have never to this day sent out a resume. Why? Because Bob Tallman tells the powers that be at the PRCA, there's this girl from California, from a rodeo family, and she'd be perfect. And here I am.
There you are.
Like, it's
Nothing happens by chance. Who
It's-
knows
It
how many?
doesn't.
it's a master script.
I first met Bob Tallman. I got out of the Army, and then I went back to college, and I went to a college rodeo, and he's announcing this, and he shows up, and he's got his pants in his boot, and he's got that bad perm that I don't know, you know, that they had back then, and he was skinny. He
Skinny
was
as a
skinnier-
rail.
Skinny, and he looked at me and he goes, "What do you got?" And I told him I had one of Cook's really good bulls. And he goes, he'll buck you off. And I thought, geez, he's a cocky little son of a bitch. You know? But anyway, turns
Did he
out
buck
to be
you
one
off?
of my best friends and the greatest announcer. That the things that, you know, when I was putting on rodeos, the things that he would say that made that audience lift that roof off the.
Yes.
It was just awesome.
Yes.
Anyway, Bob
well,
Tallman.
yeah, and like, but we go back, like, when our life flashes in front of us on our deathbed, can you imagine the freaking ride it will be? Because, like, I'm like, you mentioned Bob Tallman. I'm like, I remember when he got car killed at Reno, which is why he walks with a stoop now. And, you know, the things. Anyway, it's wildness.
It
I
is,
know.
it is.
I know we need to
Anyway,
keep moving
and
forward, but
we go through things forever. But
it's what I mean. And by the way, I was at, how old's Reno Rosser now? 45 or something?
yeah, you got to be right there.
Okay, so I'm a little kid at Reno Slack with my dad, when whatever year that was, and the timers up in a booth come on at Reno Slack and they say, "Hey everybody, Cotton had a baby this morning, named him Reno," and he's 45 years old.
Right.
So
or older. I think he might be
whatever
50.
he is.
Father
Anyway.
Time's undefeated.
Right.
Well, let's hit some of we'll start at top of the show with hitting a few of the things that we're hearing. We hear everything every day long, all day long, what's going on. Some of the stuff's hit social media. Remember, we warned you if you put it on social, we're probably going to talk about it. One of the things that I noticed is it's very interesting. There was some problems with the Cowboy Channel feed. Lots of people were having trouble getting the feed, which is odd on round 3, right, Greg? Typically, you would think those problems would happen right off the top, because I don't think that they probably got crushed. Maybe they did. Maybe they got crushed with viewers on a Saturday night.
But they distribute over so many different platforms. I don't think one or a big crush would hurt them. I think it was probably a platform-specific issue.
Well, we've asked. I put an ask out to the powers that be, and now nobody really knows who the powers that be are in that game, right? Because there's the Cowboy Channel regime. These are the people that have been putting stuff on. Now there's the new owners, Teton Ridge. And so it's interesting when you see the problems on Facebook. Half of the people say, well, you know, if Patrick wouldn't have died, it would still be good. Then you get another half of people on there say, well, just wait till Teton Ridge gets a hold of it. Well, the problem is, I think everybody's looking at each other. Most of the Cowboy Channel people don't even know what next is. And I just don't know if Teton knows what next is. But we have asked what happened. We will tell our viewers what happened, because what's most interesting to me is that Sling TV, I read something that said Sling TV was not allowed to broadcast the NFR. Well, you know, you buy Sling TV and the Cowboy Channel Plus app is in there at a certain level. Well, it all has to do with money and rights and who's allowed to and da-da-da-da-da. And so I'm just interested to find out, because it was not on for 40 minutes on Sling TV, then it popped up. So I wonder if the phone didn't ring and go, hey, there's a lot of pissed off people here. You might want to let them watch the NFR.
I don't think anyone should underestimate how hardcore rodeo fans are when it comes to the NFR. I think that would be, everyone should heed, because it's just a fact of the matter. And I have not had much time to like be looking on social media, but I did put a fun story up yesterday on Facebook and Instagram about Big A's mule, you know, that we talked about yesterday with Zeke Thurston, and the few comments that I did see was like one after the other that rodeo fans were pissed off that they were not, on whatever feed they were watching, getting to see the Cowboy Grand Entry.
Yeah, and just so you know, because we're not all technically advanced, but for our viewers out there, if you have the Cowboy Channel Plus app, okay, there's two options of how you watch it. Now, this is on the app. One is the broadcast feed. That's what they're putting on the Cowboy Channel if you have cable. You can watch that. That has Metters on it, Knowles. It has graphics. It's made for TV. And on that, I wonder if Teton Ridge isn't, you know, helping, you know, talk
According
about
to the comments, they're showing their pre-show with their very talented people instead of the Grand Entry.
And a lot of talking heads. I mean, I will say that it does seem like we have to listen to 67 experts and then Steve Kenyon every now and then. I mean, there's so many voices, I don't even know who's talking. But back to this, all you fans, there's two things then you can click on what's called the live feed, okay, which doesn't make sense to a lot of you.
You mean like the arena feed?
The
right?
arena. And that's what's going to the Jumbotron in the arena. So you hear Mooney and Brooks, right, whatever stimulating talent's on that night, you hear them, but you will not see scores or times on that, because in the arena there's different platforms that they're feeding that to. So if you're sitting in the arena, you're watching the video in the middle, and over here, as you guys know, are the times. So if you click on the arena feed, okay, you're not going to get times and scores, but I bet you can see the Grand Entry, is my point. Now, second thing that's come up, well, the first night I got to see the country music artist. Quick little thing. Those music artists tell them whether or not they're going to allow them to broadcast them. Okay? So if you'll notice on the live feed last night when, wasn't it Corbin? Easton Corbin, I think. It went up with a graphic. I'm sure that, you know, William or whoever manages him said, no, we're a live show. You can't broadcast this.
Okay.
So,
and my burning question, that because it's just kind of for fun, but for those of us who've been here forever, are those people, are they really doing it? Or we'll never forget the super unfortunate.
Are you talking about are they lipping?
Well, because remember the time when there was like no sound, and God bless America, but Charlie Daniels is out. It was a complete disaster, and he's like, everything's going wild, but he wasn't really singing it, and it was a shit show.
Well, I remember when I was doing the PBR here, and we had this conversation, and I think it was Jewel, right? And that is, do we want to go on with the track, and she lip syncs it? And I said in the meeting, I want it live. Well, what if the mic goes down? I said, I want it live. People bought a ticket to see this live. Well, what if she doesn't sound as good? To me, it doesn't matter, because to me, personally, if someone's going to step out there and sing, they're going to step out there and sing. I don't want to hear a recording. And if it goes wrong, to me, that's part of what's cool. I saw it, right?
I agree with you. You know, why stress over something that, you know, this almost was great anyway, because, you know, we got to see the real thing.
You got to see the real thing. And you know what? They're not going to sound perfect, because the stage just dropped out of the ceiling and they ran through the back pins and somebody rolled something out to them and the mic might not work.
You know what? And also this is, everything with me is random, sorry. But there was a time, we were at the PBR finals. Ty was married to Jewel, and Jewel was going to go sing at the World Series the national anthem.
Yep.
And I got on, she's like, hey, want to go day trip, you know, and I got on a small plane with her, and we flew. It was in Arizona, and she was like, she had the music when we were on that plane and stuff, and she said we went down on the field before, and they did a little bit of mic check stuff, but I had no idea how disorienting it could be when the thing, whatever's in their ear, disorients them, because what they're singing, they're hearing something that's not at the same time. According to her, she was like, you'd be surprised when you see people that something they like glitch out or whatever. It's not as easy as you think.
Well, you can completely destroy a great singer with the in-ear, and the thing about it is, if you're singing in a stadium and you're singing the anthem, you're hearing yourself live with a delay of what? I don't know, half a second?
Half a second, for sure.
And that can mess up your deal. So they put something in their ear, right, so that they're hearing it in real time and they're not listening. However, I got a quick little story on that. Jewel, first time, PBR Finals, my audio guy, I'm not going to mention any names, hadn't had a lot of experience with the in-ear monitor. Well, here's what else happens, and you can imagine this. If you turn that up too loud or too low, the people start, if it goes louder, they start singing less, right? Because they think they're loud, or they start pulling the mic away. And so during the show, she starts out and she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, turn her up. She's all the way up. And I'm like, what's going on? Then all of a sudden she goes, can you see? I'm like, what is going on? And I'm looking at the mic, they're not changing the microphone, right? Well, this dude's back there, and he's going like this with the audio in her ear, and she's literally going, oh, say, yeah. When she came off of there, right, of course, I'm going to stand in front of my people, right, and I walk up, and I'm like, brutal, huh? She goes, yeah, brutal. You ought to try doing that, right? But so there's a lot to that in-ear monitor.
Yeah.
Well, I did get some insider information that all the artists are live this year, but maybe some of the instrumental is a backing track. But yeah, everybody's singing live this year.
I can see tracking that.
Yeah.
I can. That doesn't bother me.
Let's
as
roll
much.
because we got to get some rodeo.
All right.
Yeah.
Rodeo, right.
Joe B.
The house that Joe built, which Tolman's the one that came up with that too. That was really cool. I mean, because 1985, he was a rare rookie who just jumps out and wins the world. I mean, look at him. He's a warrior. You know what I love? I love a lot of things about Joe Beaver, but he's been to hell and back. And if, people don't know it, and I love that he's now willing to, he's going to be on Rodeo Deep Dive today, and he talks openly. I mean, there was a time he's willing to use his own experience and his truths to help kids. For example, drugs. There was a time when Joe was like dead on the floor at an airport because of cocaine. Okay, and I think I appreciate, like, my boys grew up idolizing Joe Beaver, and also him saying, "You stay off that shit." You know what I mean? And like, he's real. And he came on. We did an episode about suicide, and it was for Joe and Jenna Beaver to step up and talk about mental health. And did they see it? They lost their only son, Brody, who was their life to suicide. And the fact that they are, we lost Ty Posabon. People, no one talks about what goes on in your head because it's not a broken bone. But anyway, Joe Beaver, he always found a way to win. He was one of those people, just there's something, Walter and Bonnie's boy, when they were starving when they were young, and Bonnie would drive him 1,000 miles and bet money she didn't have at a match roping on her boy. And it was just like a perfect storm. But his knees would be bad. His hips would be bad. He had so many ailments. But it was never over till Joe B went, because he always found a way.
Growney, give us a Joe B story. Come on.
Well, this is what, when somebody passes away, they're the greatest guy in the world, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
But in the stock contracting world, a lot of the stock contractors, Cowboys knew them as jerks, so, and then when they die, they're great. Like Joe Beaver.
He was such a good guy,
whatever. When I was first in the rodeo business, he was showing up about the same time. He had a bad temper, really bad temper. And it would show right at a rodeo sometimes, and I didn't like that when I saw that. But this guy, you know, we were just talking about the live feeds and everything like that. The 2 live feeds I've seen, Joe Beaver's voice is not on it, and I missed his commentating more than I missed the whole rodeo, because he is so great at what he does now. But it's life lessons that taught him all this, and he's sharing.
His insight is extraordinary, and the Joe B fit was world famous. He would throw his head back and have just a bitch fit out in the middle of the arena. But think about
this. He wanted to win.
He wanted to win, and he was like raw emotion, which he shared that with like a Cody Ohl. Right. Cody could not contain his emotions, but that emotion was part of the fuel to the fire, right? And
so you don't understand that when you first meet him, though.
But
Jesus
I'll
Christ.
say this for people like Joe Beaver and Cody Ohl: thank God there were no cell phones and no social media when those guys were running wild.
That goes across the board. It wasn't just those two. There's a lot of people saying.
What isn't there to love about Joe Beaver?
I love him.
Well, congratulations, Joe B.
Yep.
Hopefully they get your audio fixed, because people like to hear what you have to say when you're standing. By the way, he stands right there in the corner. He's standing right there in the corner. I like to look to see what he's looking at when he's talking. Like, that's the stuff I'm interested at. You know, is he even paying, you know, is he looking at his boot? Is he actually looking at the barrier? Cool. Thank you, Joe B. Now, I just think this lady is cool. National anthem, bringing in the flag, Kristi Noem. I mean, you know, and here's what's really cool for all you Trump trainers. We had the future Secretary, what is it? I mean, I got it written down here somewhere.
Homeland Security.
Secretary of Homeland Security for the Trump, right there, carrying a flag at the NFR. And you know, they swung that box open, the horse kind of moved his head, she tightened up her feet. Like, that's not pretend she can ride. And I just think that is just cool. That's coolness.
Well, okay. Talk bad taste or not or whatever. Apparently, she's out of the doghouse for shooting the puppy. She got in big trouble for that, right? Because the dog wouldn't hunt, right? Sorry. So, but the thing, I met her, which is kind of hilarious. The Miss Rodeo America pageant had Oat and I judged the Shap portion of the competition or whatever a couple years ago, which was really fun. And on stage was the reigning Miss Rodeo America, Jordan Tierney, who's now my daughter-in-law and about to have my grandson. But
greatest times.
That's where I met Kristi Noem, and I know that she's had people like Tuff Hedeman and Bobby Harris and stuff. There's some big ride where they go out and gather. Is it Buffalo? And she's had those guys come ride with her. I think the ranch is a
something
comfort
like
zone.
that.
Yeah.
Have you met Kristi Noem?
I did. I met her through Michael Gahn when we sit down to eat. What a great woman and a great representative for rodeo. I mean, remember that circle that we live in is so small. And when you have the governor of South Dakota, and then I met the governor of Idaho, Butch Otter, it makes our circle bigger and more important. And I think that's what you're seeing in rodeo right now, is that circle's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And she's the kind that makes it big.
I think, and it's never more important, than now for high-level people in the mainstream America to stand by rodeo. I mean,
well, we could go on and on about rodeo, because I really do. That, our children, your children especially, and a lot of children, even my nephew, a lady gave me a compliment. She thought it was my son, but yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, open the door, close the door. There's so many things that we're bringing back that used to be, it was a norm at one time, but we lost all that.
Social graces.
And these rodeo kids, they're the best, and people gravitate to them. And we should have some kind of orientation. When you come into the PRCA, we're gonna tell you the things that we need you to do to help us market rodeo.
Can we just keep the bad humans out of it?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. Well, good people, sharing values, going up there to help make America great again. That makes me proud. That makes me proud.
Me too.
All right. Now, Kendra, This is your story. But there was Christmas festivities in the grand entry.
Well, it's not my story. I can't wait to dig in because that's what I do out in the parking lot at the Thomas and Mack while Oat snores, catches up on his cat naps. But the Grinch. Okay, so to follow up Zeke Thurston on the Mule, now we have the Grinch, and I will be talking to him today. But last year I teed off on a similar story where Hayes Waite came in as a pirate.
Look at holding those reins with that muffin.
It's absolutely hilarious. And I think let's save a little suspense here, but I will say that this kid is a kid, and he lives right down the road from Oat, and he's been on the stage at the buckle ceremonies, and he weighs less than John Growney. And I'm going to have fun with this today.
2 tickets to the Utah Days of 47 Rodeo No Spinners. If you send us a message of who this is, first one to do it on feedback, 2 tickets to the Days of 47 Rodeo. But now, what's that cost him?
Okay. Well, I don't know what it costs him, but
Does he get fined?
I do know that this goes back to bull rider hazing. It's just tradition. And also, I can't wait to find out the Bulldoggers. I've been texting with Tucker Allen today, but when you're here at your first time as a Bulldogger, there's something about, like, I don't know if they duct tape 40-ounce beers to your hand or something, and you can't do anything until it's gone, you can't breathe until you fit.
Does every discipline do a hazing?
I haven't heard of every event doing something, but the bull riders do. I heard a rumor. It might be just a rumor, but I heard Wasey Shalla had to get his ear pierced. But that might not be true, but I did hear that.
Ah. Bull turns back fast. He whistles.
I'll find out.
Okay. All right. So cool. More on the Grinch. Now, another big happening today. It's a cool day. You can see here what I've got on right here. This is the Golden Circle of Champions. Right now, they're putting out 10,000 of these in the seats at Thomas and Mack. Today at 12:30 at the Tuscany, pro rodeo athletes that are competing here at the NFR, they are joining with rodeos that bring in children with cancer to the NFR. They pair them up with a cowboy or cowgirl that spends the afternoon with them. And it is just badass, okay? We've got 2 pictures here. Kendra's son is a part of that. We'll go with that Golden Circle first.
Taylor, okay, as a lot of you know, Taylor had 2 hip surgeries today, which is in Shad Mayfield's future at some point. Hopefully it can be delayed for him, because we're talking about a year. And Taylor's roped calves here twice and roped at 3 steer roping finals, but at his first NFR, one of the most incredible experiences, which is part of why Taylor flew out here when he's still getting over hip surgery, is this Golden Circle of Champions Day. And he will spend 4 hours there with a kid, because it means more to that cowboy than it means to that kid. And this kid that Taylor just coincidentally or not, whatever the script of life, Tristan Krauser, he's died since 2019. That kid had cancer when he was like 2 years old and lived his life. He was a lot older than he looked because his growth was stunted, and I'm like, being at that event with that kid's mother was probably the greatest thing, that could have happened to me, because my kid's horse, Hank, was giving him shit in the box. And it's like,
you thought that was a big deal.
Who cares?
Amen.
And like when Taylor this year, when he roped at San Antonio and finished off his hips, and he was supposed to just in the next couple of days go to the timed event championship of the world, which he's won, and he was supposed to go to Houston, which you work all year to get to go. And Dr. Bird and Tandy Freeman said, "Do not pass go. You're not going anywhere." And the first thing I said to Taylor was, "You don't have cancer."
Amen. Amen. Well, and then, so Taylor will be hosting one, and then the Days of 47. Last year we brought a young lady in. This year, Dan Shaw, who's on our board, flew her in from Utah. She's getting off the plane with the Utah Cowgirl Collective. Her name's Brielle Bird. She's battling. And you know what was cool at our rodeo? She came and we put her in a big hitch. Our mom sends back a note and said, that's all she's talked about through 3 more rounds. It's stuff like that that gets her through it, right? So wake up, people, when you're complaining about the fact that your hip hurts. There's people out there with real problems that you need to pray for, okay? So when you think you've got a bad day, I'll tell one quick story when I had my cancer treatment. I'm sitting in the chair, I'm at about round 10 of chemo, and I'm kind of pissed at God. I'm just sitting there, and I'm not happy because I know the next 5 days I'm gonna feel really bad. Well, this little girl, about 10 or 11, walks in, because there's all these chairs with the bags hanging, and she kind of walks beside me, and I'm thinking she's probably in there with Grandpa or something, right? Because she's just, and I looked at her and I kind of smiled, so she walks over to me and she puts her hand on me, and she said, we're gonna have a good day, I'm in that chair over there.
Heavy.
Right, that was God reaching down, smacking Tommy Joe across the face and saying, boy, you don't have anything to complain about. So God bless these kids. God bless Golden Circle of Champions. Tina, Santa Maria, Elks, they put this together. They started. All these rodeos are supporting them. It's just cool. We bring them up on stage today with the Cowboys.
It's an extraordinary event, and I'm super proud of, that's pretty close to where I live on the Central Coast of California. Santa Maria, Clarence Minetti, who was the kingpin at that rodeo forever, he is smiling. And Tina, bless her, because what she has started as just something out of her heart, what it's come to is extraordinary.
Well, and just so everybody knows, the mission of this is pediatric cancer awareness. Because believe it or not, pediatric cancer gets a very, very, very small amount of funding compared to other cancers. Like, it's percentage points to what other cancers get. And why is that? Why wouldn't we be figuring out how to treat and cure the next generation than worrying about Tommy Joe that has already lived a pretty darn good life?
Well, and I will also say it certainly feels like more and more and more young people have cancer now, and we're no politics, no BS or whatever, but I feel like our food supply is it sounds like there's.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
There's a lot.
We're
No,
glad you're getting on the cabinet.
But now it's like I want to plant a garden for my grandbabies.
Well, I do too. But okay, guys, the rodeo ends. It's 11:30. You tell me what your options are. Your options are the gas station. I mean, this is our life.
I know.
They don't even have. You go in there and you think, I think I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to eat the hard-boiled egg, and then you can't quit going to the bathroom for 5 days. So you eat the burger.
TMI, let's move.
Memorial Night.
Okay.
This is what this is all about.
Memorial Night, will Tallman be the voice of it? Because nobody can cry or
Garrett, do you
make
know
us cry.
Is Tallman MCing Memorial Night? Do you know?
I have not heard yet. I would assume so, since he's been doing the special things the past few nights.
Yeah, I do too. And he's been in production meetings because I've had him on the show.
He is kind of, the master of stuff like that. But when you look up at those faces on that big screen, and I like, for tradition.
Tell everybody what Memorial Night is. We may have listeners that actually don't even know.
The faces that will be on the big screen will be people directly affiliated, contestants, stock contractors with the NFR who have passed since the last NFR.
What other sport does that?
And so,
What other sport
and
does
I will
that?
say this on that
At
point.
their Super Bowl.
We are a patriotic, faith-based sport.
Amen.
And when every night I am so proud when they bring out a veteran or, again, perspective, like the kids fighting pediatric cancer. We stand up for our flag, for our soldiers, and I mean I tear up every night when things like that happen, because that's part of who we are, just like yes ma'am, no sir.
And there isn't anybody better than Bob Tallman when they do that Memorial Night.
You know why? Because Tolman talks from here,
He does.
right?
And I've talked about that. He's not reading it.
Because they'll say, "What are you going to say, Tolman?" He doesn't know.
Right.
He's
gotta tell
bleeding
you,
out of his heart.
as I got to, this is probably 25, 30 years ago when he's doing it, and I go, how do you remember all those names and everything? He goes, John, when I take my hat off and I'm bowing, their names are inside my hat. And I thought, what a great idea, Bob.
I have reached out to inside sources, and unfortunately, Mr. Tallman is not doing the ceremony. It's a video and a live singer. Quote, she's badass. So there you go.
Well,
It's different than it used to be. In the old days, Bob Tallman, they actually had crosses and different things like that in the arena, and he'd go from station to station to station, talking about
the mist.
And the mist. When they honored Lane, after Lane died, they honored him. He was one of the honorees, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. But we brought Red Rock to the finals and let him out there. Okay. We can't go there.
That's the real deal stuff.
Okay, once I catch my breath. But anyway, they had Lane's chaps and his bull rope hanging on the fence. And Red Rock, I swear, was part human. He knew what was going on. He went right to the chaps and the rope and just kept staring at him. My Bob Tallman did his thing. I was crying so hard. Jesus Christ, it was tough.
Memorial night. All right. So that's going to be a fun one tonight. So let's, we want to remind everybody before we jump into the thing. Are you in the tattoo league, Pro Fantasy Tattoo League, Mr. Growney? Do you have a code name?
I'm not in that.
You need to be in it.
I don't like tattoos. Does that have something to do with tattoos?
Well, no. Here's the way it works. You go on there and you pick your Pro Fantasy team. The winner at the end of 10 rounds gets to decide what tattoo the loser. There's 30 of us in the league. The loser gets. And currently, in our leaderboard, I was really crushing it the first day. I've dropped down to number 10 out of 30. Kendra has surged from 28. She was 28 because at the first show here, John, I've got people are sending me what they think the tattoo should be for Kendra. She's surged up to 14th. Oates 2 ahead of you. So you're in the middle of the pack.
Okay, but by the way, so it won't shock you that I went with like sentimental favorites. I didn't even spend the whole $550,000.
Oh, excuses.
It's not an excuse. I live by the sword, die by the sword, and I went with sentimental stuff, whatever. But the first night was not funny for the people that I went with, but it was like barreled down, bucked off, missed him out. It was just it was a rough go. But you, Skippy, were getting a little cocky out front. But
I was. And the truth is, until the average money hits, right, it's fun to talk, but all that, right. You better be paying attention.
It changes the whole game.
It changes the whole game. So, but if you haven't, it's really fun. They give you $10,000 a day. You can pick a team every day. It's $14.95 or something, $19.95, something like that. It's fun. Try it if you're at home. It really is kind of fun.
Yeah, and not to mislead people, the tattoo league is like an invitation.
Yeah, you can't get in. You can't get a tattoo on me.
But they can do the
to.
daily pick.
Yeah, it's the daily fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so now let's jump into what happened last night in the round at the NFR bareback riding. Finally, Jess. Come on. I mean, I really like that guy.
We all do. What a great kid.
There was a bunch of us going like this.
Right.
Right?
He's becoming one of the old guys all of a sudden. He was just a kid the other day.
I know, and people are, like, what have you done for me lately? People are really quick to discard people. Like, I see Tim O'Connell walking around here, and nobody's asking for his autograph, or even Stetson Wright. People are like, yeah, whatever. Oh, Casey Field, okay. And which is weird. I don't feel that way at all. But it's, Jess Pope, he owned the average here, too, And so for nobody was talking about him. It was really cool to see, oh, no, he hasn't exactly lost it. One thing that stood out to me, Bradley Miller, I thought it was pretty cool. Here's at his first NFR. He was 62.5 points last night after winning the round the night before. And I thought it was so sweet because they're zoomed in and they're expecting a bitch fit. And he just smiled like,
Now, before we go, we have a stock contractor, a seasoned stock contractor on the show. So the guy that mouths off, that's me, about the stock, I think that the pins, the first night, I think the bareback pins have been seriously uneven. Would you agree or
Well,
disagree?
it is, but those guys know these horses. Everybody knows them really well, and you try and even that pin out, but there'll be a horse. To start with, like Cooper, the little Cooper guy, he can't weigh 125 pounds. It's like a racehorse when you're putting weight on him or taking weight away from him. It makes a big difference on a horse. Jess is no little guy.
Right.
But Cooper's a little tiny guy. Those horses will buck better with those little guys because they don't have that weight on them. And 25 pounds is a lot of weight. And so you just see it all the time.
They also
I
say
can get myself in trouble
they
on
say
this.
too that some guys are masterful.
Hey, we get ourselves in trouble all the time.
I can't.
That's
because
why it's a
I was
rally.
watching the barrel racing last night. They're all skinny girls in the barrel racing. And there's a reason why those horses run so fast and so good, because it's easy for them to get out of the ground and run to the next barrel. And it's a weight thing. All right.
Well, because
I've been wanting to say that for years, so I said it.
But that goes back even to the American. There's a lot of barrel racers that don't like the fact that kids under 18 can ride
Little
in the
tiny
American.
guys.
And they might weigh 45 pounds, and they were saying something to me, and I'm like, look, if they can jockey that horse at 9, because I know some at 39 that aren't jockeying the horse they spent $1.2 million for.
Yeah. You take like Stetson in the bronc riding. Stetson is littler than I am, so I don't think Stetson weighs 140 pounds, maybe less than 140 pounds. But when you put the difference of 30 pounds is a lot of weight. And so when Stetson gets on a horse, the average horse will buck better with him than it will with one of the, Skeeter, the Thurston kid.
Yeah.
And the drama in the bareback riding, of course, anywhere there's a Steiner, there's a little bit of drama, right, with Rocker. And what did we get his post? What was it he posted about?
A few people have mentioned something that he put something about, like after the second round, was it that he got kind of car killed out there? He put something about F the average, and I didn't see it. I don't know, but hey.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Is it possible to? It's not possible to win without placing pretty high in the average, is it?
Speed Williams managed it quite well after going out in the first round so many times, but
so it is possible then, because it's all relative.
It is, but then you depend on go-arounds.
Yeah.
we better rock here.
Okay.
So Will Loomis won 2 out of 3 ain't bad. He's won 2 rounds out of 3, right? And he's riding the horse from Colorado, Winston McGraw's Swamper, and Clayton Haas is hazing for him. 3-5 last night. Kind of neat. Will has been on the brink of a gold buckle, I don't know how many times, and at the very end, some little thing happens. And what he says now is, his wife Jenna, that they powwowed for a long time, and they said, you know what? Forget about the gold buckles. We're just going to have fun and just enjoy this, because he's a rodeo coach now, and he's just not going to, focus on it. And slight side note. Jade Corkill, one of the goats of healing, I remember a time when he was young when he was obsessed with the gold buckles, and then Brock Cresta died at Cheyenne at 25 years old, and Jade, something flipped where he turned out at rodeos to come to Brock's funeral, and he decided the gold buckle isn't the end all in life, and he won his first gold buckle that year. So
yeah.
Will has a different
That's like
mindset.
the guys that want to get married and they smell like they're desperate. When they finally quit trying to find a wife, God walks one right into their lives, right? It's the same thing. All right, so team roping.
So in the team roping,
It looked more like I thought it would.
for one thing, all 3 rounds have been won in 3-7. Sort of interesting. Driggers and Nogata and Ege Squeeze and Lord split the round last night. It's just so interesting because the night before, Caleb Driggers, his rope fell out of his hand. It was just one of those things, But Driggers had a horse change. He got back on his own. He'd been on a great horse of Ren Richard's, but he hadn't gotten to run very many before we got here. And he just got back to the comfort zone and let it rip. Interesting. Only 6 teams have caught 3 steers. And Eric Rogers and Paul Eves are number 1 in the average after 3. Anyway, we better keep rolling because we're going to run out of time. But it's By the way, Eguisquiza is on Aaron Sinigini's horse, 2015 world champ, I think, and the Navajo Nation is always important here, always in some sort of way. So, Zeke Thurston.
Zeke, he's flat good.
He's my fantasy pick.
Yep, definitely a fantasy
Yeah,
pick.
he should have been, though. That's a no-brainer. Of all the events, that's
Yeah,
a
that's a
no-brainer.
no-brainer.
And we did watch his dad Skeeter here 6 times.
I thought so. Here I'm calling him Skeeter, but you know, his dad was a director and a good director. It was his job to put Pins and Broncs together.
His mom Linda was a Canadian trick rider, Linda Shuckberg, right?
I don't know that.
There's a whole big family tree there that Bo Cooper, who rode calves here last year, is a cousin. The Shuckbergs are their cousins.
Well, we better keep going.
There's a bunch of them. Okay.
Now,
We
the
do
interesting
know
thing I
that
think in the
he
bronc
is
riding
both sides of the border.
is you kind of think Zeke is running off with it, but Zeke's only 6 points ahead of Dawson in the average right now, right? So it's still a pretty tight race. Tie down roping.
By the way, the fun fact I like about Zeke is that he's known his wife Jane since they were 8.
Right, that was a cool story last night.
That's so cool. Anyway, okay, so the calf roping, Ty Harris was 6'9" to win it. He started out on his Palomino horse. His brother, pretty cool, 2 brothers being here. His brother Joel started out on Logan Bird's, kind of world famous NFR horse, Peso, the little buckskin, and Ty got off of his own horse and got on Logan's. They both have ridden him the last 2 nights. Peso's been here with Weston Hughes, Shane Hanchy. Ty's ridden him here before. This is Peso's, zone. So it's all great. I mean, Shad Mayfield was 7-7 last night. Riley Webb. 1 second. He's in a zone all his own, and it's Oat and I sit pretty close to his family, and it's just fun to watch them as soon as he throws his hands in the air. So let's keep moving.
I got to say something. I know we're in a hurry, but this Riley Webb, he's the real thing, and not just in the arena. He, at every rodeo that I've seen him where I'm at, he makes a point to find me, to find committee people. His parents...
He's
His
a great
parents
kid.
did an excellent job on that kid.
He's a great kid.
And he thanks everybody, and he's just got such a great attitude. So I'm pretty high on O'Reilly.
Yeah, him and Rudy got it going on here this week. So tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row for Haley Kinzel. And again, she ran toward the bottom. She and sister last night, 13:48.
Okay, pop quiz for you. Record in the WPRA round wins held by anybody. Do you know that?
Charmaine James and Sherry Serby with 25, and last night...
No, in a row.
No, in a row is current WPRA president Jimmy Gibbs Monroe. She won the first 5 at the 1984 NFR.
On what horse?
On her horse, Billy.
Nope.
No?
Smooth Cadet.
She won the world on Billy.
Gotcha. Keep going.
84, I was still getting my bachelor's degree.
Anybody ever won? Has anybody ever won all 10 rounds of?
No.
No.
Not that I'm aware of.
I've never heard of that. But, that's number 24. And as I was walking out after watching them run the extras after the rodeo last night, I did stop by Josh Shelton, the music director, and said, just out of curiosity, why are we not hearing Long Cool Woman in a black dress by the Hollies for Haley anymore? And he said, last year it was kind of going rocky for her, so we decided to change it up a little bit. And anyway, she's going with Freebird this year, and he said now that 3 in a row, he said, I am pretty sure I'm not going to be changing that. So she has a new theme song.
All right, into the bull riding. What pin of bulls was it last night, Growney? Do you remember?
I don't know what pin it was, but I got to brag on Cody Rosowski, the director. I think he's put the nicest pin of bull. We get tired of seeing it. We don't appreciate kids getting bucked off, and he has put a nice pin of bulls together all 3 nights where we're seeing a lot more rides. And so not all the ranked bulls are here, but no, they don't have to be here. We're putting on a rodeo and a show, and those kids get to step up. And so that's my
I agree.
nod to Cody.
They're not days off. Like if you don't have your head on straight and nod, any one of those bulls has been able to buck a guy off.
Right.
And that's what I like.
Right. My idol is that Wacy Shawlins, or whatever his name is. And he's bucked off all 3 bulls. And I'd have been betting on him. And there's another great kid right there. So, the nice thing about being a stock contractor, you get to meet these kids and their personalities. And once you get to know them, there's so many great kids out there.
There really are. And one of them is last night's winner, Clayton Sellers. He was 87 and a half. That family that he married into, he's up there, his wife is Lefty Holman's sister, Billy. They high school rodeoed with my kids. So my son Taylor 10 years ago won the college title as a Cal Poly freshman on Lefty Holman's gray calf horse Poncho. And here we are 10 years later, and little Billy, Lefty's little sister, is here with her husband Clayton Sellers and their baby boy Poncho Pete.
Can you imagine that whole family getting together? The Marvels and
Yes.
what's the steer wrestler's name? He's great.
Dakota Eldridge.
Yeah, Dakota.
Yeah,
there are so many. I went to Rosita's Rosary Memorial, and it was sad. But the family that Rosita has raised, she's a great grandma and
extraordinary.
A great woman.
And Sally Marvel Freeman,
all those girls,
is a hero of mine for life.
We're out of time for this episode. We thank you all. I do want to always end this with a question for our guest. So we all have our secret, like restaurants or things we do in Vegas, right? That we've done for a while. We figured out. Any tidbits for all of us that are in Vegas? That is there a little taco shop somewhere? Do you have anything?
I've been here ever since we've been here, but I'm very loyal to Michael Gaughan, so I don't eat anywhere else at Michael Gaughan's
Just
restaurant.
at the South Point. There's so much variety there.
Right.
You can get something.
And
good all
then
the time.
I know you guys know this, but Ryan Growney, my cousin, is one of the managers there. So I can't even wear somebody else's hat. I got to wear a Resistal because he was Resistal Man of the Year. So it's hard to be part of that group sometimes.
Well, thank you for joining us right here for No Spin Rodeo. We're at a rally in Las Vegas. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Growney.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. On behalf of Kendra Santos and myself, Tommy Joe Lucia, thanks for being a part of our team. Listen to us on podcast, Ride Pass Plus, or Ride Pass and Cowboy Channel Plus app. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.